Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I found these words, and quite frankly, these are the words that I try to live by, and I want to share them with you. Quite frankly, I've seen better days, but I've also seen worse. I don't have everything that I want, but I do have all I need. I woke up with some aches and pains, but I woke up. My life may not be perfect, but I am blessed. Perfect words to think about and live by today. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith. And God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning on a Monday. Oh, I love that song and every word. Thank you very much. Kate Smith, God bless America. And good morning, I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you, Jerry. Thank you so much. I appreciate your call, buddy. And right now, we're going to head to the weather forecast, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Hello, Roger and the crew over there. They started at 7 already this morning, 7 o'clock till 5:30. And they've got all your tools, all your equipment, and they'll deliver and pick up the power tools and equipment at your job site. Holy moly. And they've been in business since 1979. You talk about experience, you talk about knowledge. K&R Rental in Heyburn, 678-3122. Here now, our weather forecast.
Crank up the ACs because it is going to be hot for the next couple of days as we are looking at a high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny and hot for today. Slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 96 tonight. Maybe a few clouds with a low of 61 tomorrow. Mostly sunny, again hot with a high right near 96. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 61. By Wednesday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by the afternoon, but mostly sunny skies with a high of 90. As we make it towards the weekend on Thursday, mostly sunny 89 and then sunny and 89 for Friday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Did you hear her voice? Yes, it's good to have Gina back from vacation. And I want to say thanks also to Scotty last week, filling in and doing our weather forecast, doing a great job. 2 very nice people. Thank you very much. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Let's not forget them at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. And they're also a Honda engine dealer. All the parts you might need for your wheel lines at K&R Rental. Good morning, and a happy happy birthday to Sharon Hardy Mills, a lady that has filled in on this program many times. Her, along with Gina, when I'm gone on vacation or if I'm taking a few days off or if I have maybe some other meetings to attend, they've done an outstanding job. So Sharon Hardy Mills, I want to say happy birthday to you and many more. So if you see her today, tell her that we all wish her a very happy birthday. Daryl's Cleaners. Oh, my goodness. These folks do so much to help us. All the rumply crumplies, they can make them look brand spanking new. Yep, dry cleaning really helps prolong the life of your clothes. And also, if you don't have time to do your own washing, put them in a bag, take them down there, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. You can't beat that with a stick. Well, by golly, you better get in there at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Absolutely the best. Daryl's Cleaners. And before we get into our first topic, school back in session, and all I'm going to say is slow down. I am so frustrated right here at our place because of these absolute nitwits that won't observe a 45-mile-an-hour area. And with the school buses now on the road, morning and night, and all the big heavy trucks, etc., slow down. I just absolutely cringe, and I don't understand why they can't understand and read traffic signs, understand where not to pass and where to pass. They're in a no-passing zone, and they pull out to pass. I wish the police, county sheriff, etc., would just absolutely throw the book at these people. Hopefully, everyone will be safe. Don't forget our friends at Denny's Restaurant. Oh, we had an outstanding breakfast over there last week during Zeb's Lunch Bunch. I ordered the strawberry cream pancakes. It was delicious, and everybody was having just plates and plates of delicious food. I was watching the food go by when we got there, and I thought, holy moly, that looks good. Well, you can stop in anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant, and try the online ordering at Denny's. Anytime, anywhere, anything, go to Dennys.com. Hit the demand button, place your order, and 20 minutes later, drive in, pick your order up. It's so easy at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Wonderful people at Denny's Restaurant. By the way, speaking of wonderful people, I want to be sure and mention our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's. Over a half a century. Wow, that's really impressive. Half a century of serving you and your family with all your heating and cooling and electrical needs. And according to the forecast that Gina had just a few minutes ago, you thought you were going to turn off the AC, huh? Buckwheat, no. Highs in the 90s. So make sure that you get your air filters for your air conditioning units, and they'll keep you cool. All the heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And we're going to be over there for a big, huge remote broadcast on September 14th celebrating Patriots Day. Don't you miss it. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Houston, Texas, and the surrounding area. I know a lot of people down there in that area. And Deanne and I are working on an idea, that we want to propose to you tomorrow morning on the broadcast, if you will. And it's the fourth largest city in the United States, and probably, the way it's constructed, the way it's laid out, the most flood-prone city. And with the horrific amount of rain from Hurricane Harvey, they are getting slammed, and one of the most... It made me cry. I'm not embarrassed to say. I sat there with tears in my eyes, watching, and honestly, nursing home residents sitting in up to their chest water. I'm not exaggerating. I saw those pictures this morning, and it just was horrific. They were sitting in chairs at this nursing home in chest-deep water, almost like with the, I don't know how to explain it, the acceptance that they were not going to get out of there. There was a calm on their face. There was a look of, this is the way it's going to end for us. I mean, one lady was actually knitting. And I looked at those pictures, and then one of the commentators also solidified my worries and complaints, or my concerns. Where were the helpers? Where were the people that work at that nursing home? Where were the aides? I mean, where were they? There was no picture of anybody being any help or assistance to these people. Did they cut and run? And fortunately, thank God, and I mean that literally, help was on the way, and they rescued these folks. My goodness, it's just unbelievable. 30, 40, 50 inches of rain, and there's nowhere for it to go. And I have heard over the weekend a gentleman that actually has been on my program in the past, and he was talking about what's in the water. And that's another danger, too. The snakes and all the other creepy crawly things and the water moccasins and everything from around the area. Not only that, but rescue boats, and they had, unfortunately, a very bad accident occur where a rescue boat was on the way to pick some people up that were stranded and sitting on top of their car. Well, another car submerged underneath the water line, and they hit that thing full speed. And very unfortunately, the two officers in the boat were injured and had to be life-flighted. And the whole thing is just absolutely a mess. And possibly this rain from Hurricane Harvey is not going to end until Thursday. This is absolutely pathetic. And I really, my heart goes out to these people. And we're going to be seeing the after effects of this all across the board, with many of the oil refineries being shut down or damaged because of the floods. And some of the experts are kind of twixt and tween on this thing. Are we going to see extremely high gas prices for a period of time or a short period of time? Or will it not have any effect? I just heard a woman before I signed on this morning say, I don't think it's going to have any effect at all. I don't see how it could not. And also, I hate to say this, but there are people out there waiting for some kind of a problem just to make more money. Your thoughts and calls are welcome. Give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call, and I'd love to talk to you. Don't just sit there. It's your program. Voice your thoughts. I want to say a great big shout out to Jerry Zollinger and Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale coming up on September 9th. That's right around the corner, just a matter of a few days. It's the 20th annual production sale, and it's going to be at, of course, the ranch at 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. Preview at 10 a.m. Take a good look at all these good-looking horses for sale. Sale at 11, and these are horses that have been raised in the high desert country, and they know how to pick their feet up in the rocks and get someplace. I'll tell you that, and they're excellent horses for the type of work and play that you want to do, whether it's cutting, roping, work cow horse, whatever it might be. You better check it out. Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, 20th annual production sale, September 9th, up at the ranch in Oakley. Don't you miss it. Excellent. All right, well, normally on a Monday, we always have somebody calling in and starting the ball rolling. So give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I want to say that last week, a gentleman died that was 85 years old. He passed away on Thursday. And he was a very, very classy man. He was. former Governor Cecil Andrus. Now, whether you agreed with his politics or not, and most of the time I did not on this program, Governor Cecil Andrus was just absolutely a man that when you saw him, saw pictures of him, or saw a video of him, or a news clip of him, he was a very classy man. Caller, I'll be right there. Let me finish my point. I ran into this man literally. The first time I ever met Cecil Andrus, I ran into him going out a door at the Capitol while he was coming in. And literally, I ran right into the gentleman. And as I said, he will be missed. He was very professional and a gentleman. Former Governor Cecil Andrus. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeff. I met Governor Andrus twice, and he was always a gentleman. And I do believe that he was a good governor. There were some things that he did because he was a liberal or whatever you may call him. But I think he really loved Idaho, and I don't think that we're any worse from his governorness. But I lost. Yeah. How old was he?
85.
85.
Yes.
But bless his heart. He had a good, long, fruitful life, and I sure hope that his family is okay.
Well, it was kind of interesting the way, Chris, that I met him. As I said, I was literally coming out of the Capitol doors, and I ran right into the man. And I backed up and said, "Excuse me," and then I realized who it was, and I said, "Governor Andrus," and he looked at me, and I introduced myself, and and then he remembered me from past occurrences and times that we had met, and had a nice little conversation, and on aftermath times, meeting him and talking to him and having him on my radio program, etc., I always found him to be first class.
Yeah. No, I think that it's okay to have a mixture of governors in our state, from both of the parties and from different backgrounds, because that's what just makes us more interesting. If they're all politicians from the day they put their little feet on the ground as children, then we gotta worry about them.
Absolutely.
He was really a good man and loved Idaho.
Absolutely, and I'm very honored to have met him and known him, and quite frankly, it's a memory that I'll cherish, and I appreciate knowing a great governor. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. God bless. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yep, he was a great man. I just really enjoyed him. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. These cry babies, these absolute cry babies, demanding, waving their fists in the air, shouting obscenities at the NFL headquarters, shouting obscenities at NFL teams and owners, civil rights groups. I mean, this is ridiculous. On the bandwagon, demanding that Colin Kaepernick be hired as a football player for the various teams in the NFL. Holy cow! I can't believe this. Honestly, I'm just absolutely dumbfounded. Colin Kaepernick created his own problems. Colin Kaepernick created his own unemployment. Colin Kaepernick, in my opinion, does not deserve to play for any NFL team. Why? Because it's still the right and the freedom of those rights for any private company, NFL, whatever, to not hire whomever they do not want to work for them. Right now, he is a bad hombre. He is a person that is causing a lot of strife and worry and has created other players to join in, unfortunately, in this strife and worry for the NFL teams and ownership. This absolute idiocy, and that's what it is, of not standing for our national anthem or showing respect to our flag has got to stop. And I think the rules and regulatory means and methods must come from the top, the owners, whether it's Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys or whomever. That when you play for my team, you will follow my rules. You will do things in accord with what you're going to be paid, and here they are. Follow this, A, B, C, all the way through Z. Other than that, you don't get paid and possibly fired. Colin Kaepernick absolutely brought low or no class to the NFL. And it's a shame. But hire him by being forced to? If I was an owner of a team, absolutely not. Your thoughts, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, don't leave me hanging. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and all of their great physical therapists. Wow. I mean, wow. They really know how to help you get back to being you. Yep. You're going to have some exercise. You're going to be in the hydrotherapy pool. Yes, after about 2 or 3 times, you're going to say to yourself, why didn't I do this sooner? They helped me get back to what I like to do. I credit them. They are exceptional. 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Call them today. 678-1191. Absolutely. Swear by them. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I caught the last end of what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Kaepernick deal, I don't think he should be playing in the NFL anyway. It's National Football League. But if I remember right, didn't they fine some people or threaten to fine some people for wearing shoes that remembered 9/11 and the travesty that happened there, but yet they go ahead and let people kneel during our national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me not really care too much about NFL.
Well, you know, you bring up a really good point, and I think it's one that needs to be elaborated on. The NFL, National Football League, has brought on and created and exacerbated many of their own problems because, quite frankly, I don't think Goodell, the commissioner, is a man worthy of that job. I don't think he's tough enough. He's definitely not, in my opinion, a Pete Rozelle. And I think they need to have a revamp, they need to have a restructure, and they need to forget the garbage connected with political correctness.
Well, until... political correctness, unfortunately, sells to some people, but not to people that have common sense. And I miss the days when the national anthem and prayer was said before most sporting events.
Yes.
And, you know, it just shows our pride in our nation. If they don't have any pride in our nation, what are these players personifying onto younger generations coming up?
Well, okay.
It's okay to have bad sportsmanship, that it's okay to disrespect other people and their sacrifices, that only money matters and that's not all about you.
Yeah.
That's what it's coming across anymore, but I'll let you go.
No, wait, Riley, wait a minute. Stay there for a second, just a quick second. I've got to give away some cookies in a minute, but your point about the players, etc., I'll go one step further. I think that the coaches and the team owners should say, no, you're not going to dance and act like an idiot. You're not going to do this kind of sometimes filthy dancing in the end zone. Act like you've been there before. The late, great Vince Lombardi made a comment one time to his players, if you want to do things on a singular basis, don't do them on my team, because act like you've been in the end zone before. Act like a professional. And these creeps today, and I use that word and I mean it, they don't know how to act professional.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I can vaguely remember watching football with my grandpa when I was younger, you know, and it was fun. But then you'd get he called them chicken dancing. Yeah. Occasionally, you know, you get a chicken dancer. And it just didn't look right to me. It didn't feel right to me. You don't see a bulldog or knock a steer down in record time. He don't get up and act that way. I'm pretty sure he's proud of himself and throws his hat maybe, but, you know, to me, it's just unbecoming of a
professional.
Dagnabbit. Now I forgot.
Yeah, professional athlete. Yeah. Riley, I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks for calling in. Thank you.
Yep.
You know, I think that it's great if a guy's going to go and score a touchdown and run out of the end zone and may go over and give a high five or maybe a hug to the lineman or the linemen that really never get the praise, and they sprung him loose for a 30-yard touchdown run. That's fine. Then go off the field. I mean, I don't mind that at all. But to stand there and say, look at me, look at me, look at me, I did it all by myself, look at my dance. Baloney. Baloney. Another word I wanted to use, but I can't. Anyway, we're going to give away some cookies right now to Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, my goodness, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. What a bakery. What a great restaurant. Oh, you better get in there. And by the way, if you're the winner of the question this morning and you've never been a winner before, this is for first-time winners only, you call over there at 436-0354. Let them know when you're going to be in for your cookies. Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. Now, here is the question. It's an easy one today. In the old TV series, Rin Tin Tin, what was the name and rank of the little boy soldier? In the old TV series, Rin Tin Tin, what was the name and rank of the little boy soldier? First person to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587 wins a dozen delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. In the TV series Rin Tin Tin, what was the name and rank of the little boy soldier? Come on now, that's not that hard. That's one of the easier ones that I've asked. Give me a call right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a jingle. While I'm waiting for your call that I certainly hope is coming in, don't forget the second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet and Standing for the Red, White, and Blue. September 9th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the historic Rupert Square, and sponsored by the City of Rupert, Combat Vets Association, and Rupert Veteran Memorial Incorporated. They're going to have classic cars, they're going to have race cars, they're going to have a community flag retirement, lots of entertainment, food. It's going to be fun. Second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet, September 9th at the historic Rupert Square. Come on, give me a jingle quickly. It can't be that hard. Come on now. I thought I was making it easy for you. On the old TV series, Rin Tin Tin, what was the name and rank of the little boy soldier? Please, my goodness sakes. Why, I'd hate to think that I'd have to call over and keep the cookies for myself. Not a bad thought, though. Quickly, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Again, while I'm waiting for your call, that I hope comes in a few minutes, Barry Equipment and Rental. Don't forget them, sales, service, and parts, South Lincoln and Jerome, Madison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They do have all the equipment to get the job done right. Now, you say, well, I've never driven a Bobcat loader or anything or an excavator. Don't worry about it. They've got a complete sandbox out behind the business there in Burley, and they'll teach you how to run it. Oh, my goodness, they've got all the new and used excavators from Bobcat, all shapes and sizes, equipment rental, retail equipment sales, all of this and more at Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes.
Would it be Rusty and Lieutenant?
What's your name?
Kurt Miller.
Kurt Miller. It was Corporal Rusty. Did you say Corporal?
I'm sorry.
What did you say?
I'm an honest man. No, I said lieutenant.
I thought you said Corporal. You know what? It's my error, because I thought you said Corporal Rusty, and I guess I better start listening closely. But you know what? You're going to be the winner of my faux pas, and I am going to give you the cookies. You're close. Kurt Miller, right?
Yep.
All right, Kurt, call them over there and let them know when you're going to be coming by for your cookies, and they'll have them all ready for you, okay?
All righty.
All right, sir. Thank you. You know, I thought he said Corporal. It was Corporal Rusty, and quite frankly, I wasn't listening close enough, so my bad. But we'll give him the cookies. It was Corporal Rusty, and it was a great TV series. I love that show. I love all those old westerns like that. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How would you react? What would you say? What would you do if you went to pick up your little 5-year-old child from kindergarten, 5 and 6 years old, maybe first grade, and they came home and they started telling you about events that had happened at school, and in their own childish verbiage, you understand that they're talking about teaching these kids transgenderism? How would you feel? I would be absolutely livid if the school did this and taught this as normalcy to my child that was in the pre or first grade of school. Well, this is what's happened in a couple of school districts, and it's absolutely disgusting, and a lot of parents are really, really upset and thinking about suing the school districts, and they should. They should. There is absolutely no reason to plant those seeds of abnormalcy into little bitty children. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was looking for the name of the cookie shop, or the phone number to the cookie shop.
All right. Sophie's Chatterbox, 436-0354. Okay?
436?
436-0354. Got it?
436-0354?
Yes, sir. That is correct. All right. Thank you. Thank you much.
All right, thank you.
All righty. Well, there we go. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How would you feel? How would you react? I personally would take my child to a sitter or a relative and march right down to that school district and not ask for an appointment, and I would go right into the office and demand to see the superintendent and or the principal, and heads would start to roll. What is going on in our society that the transgenders and the LGBTQ and all these abnormal groups that have that much of a stranglehold right now on decency and families and education? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. You got my attention again this morning, as usual. Having a 3-year-old little girl and a 15-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy, that's no one's business to talk about with my children but me and my wife in our house. Nobody has the right to tell my kids anything about anything like that, transgenderism, gay or lesbian, or anything like that. That is a mother and father's responsibility to talk to their kids about.
Many of the children...
I'm an attorney, and I would be going down there and raising all sorts of hell and discontent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many of the children that came out of this study, when they found out about this, the parents were saying how confused. And think about this. That is a good word, how confused these little children were. Here they are in the forming stages of childhood, and they come home and they're confused. They're confused. Well, I thought I was a little boy, or the other person says, I thought I was a little girl, and now they're telling me that I can do this and I can be whatever. These kids, it's absolutely a sin. It's a sin and a crime to do that to those little minds and have this abnormalcy implanted in their minds in a school, and the parents were never notified.
No, it's okay to tell, in my opinion, to tell your children, I tell mine all the time, you can be whatever you want to be, but God did not make a mistake.
That's right.
You can do whatever you want with your future. You can be a welder, a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever you want. But our Heavenly Father did not make a mistake when He created you a young man or a little girl.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I feel about it.
The confusion and the tearing down of morality and family values within the education system and forced upon us by these abnormal groups, and that's what they are, is despicable. And I would lead the charge against any principal or any superintendent that would advocate that goes on in the school.
Well, I can't disagree with you there, my friend.
All right.
You have a good day, and I'll keep listening.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm not going to mince any words. I think the abnormalcy that's being taught, the abnormalcy that's being accepted, is ruining, killing, and perverting our society. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. We make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place, they say, for your loved ones that need that little extra care. They need that little extra help. Autumn Haven, the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and believe me, they do provide more one-on-one care. Call them today. Find out more. 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. Caller, good morning. Thank you. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. This is Willie from Utah.
Well, hello, Willie.
Times before, I think you might remember.
I do, sir. Go ahead.
Anyway, for your listeners, I wanted to preface this by saying I'm a gay man, I'm an inactive Mormon, returned missionary, prepper, libertarian, and a constitutionalist. Mm-hmm. And on this subject about the schools, I've said for some time that any parent who sends their child to a typical government school is guilty of child abuse, and anybody who sends their children to what is considered a good government school is guilty of child neglect. So I have zero esteem for the government school system. I think it exists more to indoctrinate kids and teach them all this political correctness crap, and to teach them also that, oh well, what really counts in life is bending to peer pressure and fitting in and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really teach the 3 R's and things that really matter anymore.
Well, let me.
It's disgraceful. And I even know a couple down in Page, Arizona, who unschooled their kids for their whole childhood up through high school. They just kept them home. They didn't really do a homeschooling program, but they encouraged their kids to learn and to, as they showed interest in things. But they didn't actually sit them down and say, okay, it's time for school.
Yeah.
And their kids turned out just fine. They're both in college. They're doing great. And, it's like, well, why do you subject your kids to all the bullying and exposure to drugs and sex at a very early age and all that? Why do all that when the results, if you just didn't school them at all, they turn out pretty good? There's this, like I say, there's this movement called the unschooling movement, and I personally think it's a pretty interesting idea. I'm also highly in favor of private schools and charter schools and all that, but I think it's totally inappropriate for schools to teach things like that. But I have to say, well, that's the nature of government schools. They're gonna They're going to do everything they can to suppress religious beliefs and teach kids all the government line on everything.
Well, here's my point. Here's my point.
For the day, I guess.
No, I'm glad you called in because I'm really appreciative of it, and I'll tell you why. Number one, I do not care, and I want to emphasize those words. I do not care what life you lead or how you lead it. But when there is a forced indoctrination to the acceptance of a certain lifestyle or a certain politic, if you will, then we have trouble to the point where we have lost control as a civil society, a free society, because at that juncture, the government has complete control.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And could I address something about the NFL and that too?
Yeah, quickly, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a sports fan at all, but I think this Kaepernick or whatever his name is, if he's having trouble getting a job, well, he's brought it all on himself, and he's really an ungrateful individual to not count his blessings for being a millionaire athlete in this great country. I mean, it reminds me of what Cassius Clay, later called Muhammad Ali, said when he went to do a fight in Nigeria. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
He went over to Nigeria for a paid boxing fight, and he said he thanked God that his ancestors got on that boat. Because he was grateful that he was so privileged to be an American. And I have to wonder, how would the Black Lives Matter people feel about that statement? Do they, he's an Uncle Tom, he's a sellout? They need to count their blessings too, that, they never suffered under slavery. Yes, their ancestors did, but look where it got them.
Absolutely.
They literally won the lottery in the people of the world, and they've gotten to live in this great country where they have endless opportunities.
Well stated.
To whine about something that happened over 150 years ago.
Amen.
It's just amazing to me. I just can't believe it.
Well, very well stated. Thank you, sir.
Your program, I enjoy listening every time I drive through Idaho, and keep up the good work.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Very well stated. Very well stated, especially the point that he made right there at the very end. That, excuse me for coughing, and I'm going to cough again in just a minute, pardon me. But the point that he made about the blacks, they should be on their knees thanking the good Lord above that their ancestry was brought here, by the way, by black slave traders, not necessarily. Don't put the blame on whites. I'm so sick and tired of this. Because of the fact that they have been given a land of opportunity. They've been honestly given a land of opportunity. And that's not just me talking as a white man to the blacks. It's also, over the weekend, I saw and heard 3 black commentators, 2 female and 1 male, saying the same thing. That, here's a word you're not supposed to use anymore, but it's a fact of life, and I'm going to use it. Negroes coming to this country absolutely were handed a golden plate loaded with opportunities. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence and your patience. I've got to get a weather forecast on here. Please do not hang up. I'll be right with you. It won't take more than a minute. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids sponsoring our weather right now. The only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho with Dr. Christine Pickup. And I urge you to call for a hearing screening today because I'll tell you what, they are committed to serving each patient with better hearing. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. And here's Gina with the weather.
Crank up the ACs because it is going to be hot for the next couple of days as we are looking at a high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny and hot for today. Slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 96 tonight. Maybe a few clouds with a low of 61 tomorrow. Mostly sunny, again hot with a high right near 96. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 61. By Wednesday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by the afternoon, but mostly sunny skies with a high of 90. As we make it towards the weekend on Thursday, mostly sunny 89 and then sunny and 89 for Friday. That's your weather for Zebeth Rand.
Thanks, Gina. Brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call for an appointment today, 312-0957, the best. Dr. Christine Pickup and Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, I am sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead, please.
Not a problem, Zeb. I totally agree with you about this teaching in school. That's absolutely insane. Because I think about when we were children, and a lot of girls, including myself, I was a better hockey player. I was a better baseball player than most of the boys, and football to a certain age. And I was called a tomboy. Nobody ever said, well, are you sure you shouldn't be a boy, or you've dressed wrong or something? And then I got to thinking, one of my great-grandchildren was here the other day, and we were repairing a hose. And what do you do when you go to the store and you want to get a hose ends repairs? How do you say male and female end anymore? What are you supposed to ask for? I mean, I'm being facetious, but that's how stupid this has gotten.
You know, you're 100% right. And God bless you for your thoughts this morning, because we are so far, pardon the expression, whacked out on political correctness. It's destroyed our society. And I guarantee you, for as long as I'm on the air, and I'm getting to be an old man, I am going to fight political correctness, and I'm never going to adhere to it. Thank you for your call. And I never thought about that, but I got to go to the hardware store this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay. If you answer, let me know. Thank you.
Okay, take care. I love that. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're not going to weaken on this program. You know, the emails and some of the calls and everything. I mean, I know that there is a left liberal faction out there that would like to hold my scalp up in the air and say, got him! Well, you know, that's fine. I'm going to keep on being a conservative. I'm going to keep on fighting what I think, and I think I'm right, because others agree with me, is killing this country. And the problem is with the right in this country is that they're lazy and that they're just not moved enough to stand up and fight back. So we kind of have created the growth of the cancer against us because we have sat back and done nothing and said nothing. And so when you start pointing your fingers at others and say, oh, they did this and oh, they did that, you got to turn the mirror and look in the mirror and see your own face and say, yeah, but we didn't do anything. We didn't fight back. We didn't meet the problem head on. And so what we have here today is a lot of our own apathy, because we were too lazy to confront the problem. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know some folks that work doggone hard every day, and that is, of course, all 7 of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And they want you to get where you're going, especially this upcoming Labor Day. I can't stress it enough. Be careful out there. They provide the best in brake service with highly trained technicians, and of course the front end alignments, the shocks and the struts, the best in batteries, and all your tires. They've got all your tires, all the different tread designs, all the different sizes, everything. For your cars, pickups, SUVs, trailers, everything. They want you to get where you're going this summer and then turn around and get back home safely. That's right. All 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, providing the best in service. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Really good people. Well, hello, Deanna. She just walked in. Oh, by the way, a quick note. The greatest and purest of baseball, Little League World Series. It was won this weekend by Japan over Texas. And, Japan had quite a team. Woo! I think they blew out Texas 12-2. But Little League World Series, absolutely some of the best baseball you could ever watch. It was really, really exciting. What have we got coming up this morning? We've got, don't miss next hour, Christine Douglas Williams. This lady has really been living under the shadow of a target because of her speaking out against Islam. That's going to be interesting. Then at 9:30, Jonathan Wood going to be talking about the monuments here in this United States and the repeal, hopefully, of some of those monument designations. Megan Barth at 10:06, John Zamirik at 10:32. All of this and much, much more on a Monday as we try to get back in the groove and roll till Thursday. Zeb at the Ranch, we're going to turn it back over to Wheels for a few minutes, and then we'll be back after CBS News. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Ho, ho, and away we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday. I'm trying to keep my spirits up. I'm trying to keep myself motivated today. It's a Monday. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Serving all the Magic Valley, very loyal to the community and the people that they serve. I urge you to give them a call, get on the route service, and get rid of your garbage. Wave goodbye. They are really handy and very timely at getting you with your garbage all picked up, and you will thank me. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. You call them today. Really, really nice people. By the way, when I keep saying really nice people, you know that I'm also talking about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary in Rupert with Joel Heward, his staff, and his family, always serving you. And believe me, their job of serving you at a very, very difficult time in anyone's life when there's the passing of a loved one. Well, they always treat you and your family with the highest ethical standards and expectations with unquestioned integrity. So please get a hold of them today. And they're locally owned and operated, and they care. And they can make sure that they have, of course, the flexible hours to be there when you need them. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary. Right now, I'm really, really interested, that is a good word, to hear more about the plight of this lady and what she's involved in, because quite frankly, before she gets on the air with me, I'm just going to state this. I think Islam and their ideology, in a very, very, in some cases, not so subtle way, coming into various community cities and townships and taking over, and you don't even know it. I'm very honored to have Christine Douglas Williams on the phone with us, and we're going to be talking about the possibility of Islamophobia or not. Good morning, Christine. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you, and it's a pleasure and privilege to join you today.
You know, I read your piece that you had put out, and I got to be honest with you, Christine, and feel free to correct me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I think the ideology of Islam and the Muslim promotion of that ideology is one in a very subtle way to come here to the United States and play the victim card so that they have the sympathy and all the tears and the hand-wringing, and it's a very subtle way of taking us over. How wrong do you think I am?
On one hand, you're absolutely correct, but here is the very brief distinction that I make, and I make this very seriously in a book that I wrote called The Challenge of Modernizing Islam. There are those Muslims who are our friends. They don't ask for any special privileges. In fact, they reject the word Islamophobia because it is a Trojan horse. It's a word that's heavily pushed, a victimology subterfuge. It's heavily pushed by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and it's intended to do one thing, which is shut down, beat down free speech and every criticism of Islam that they can even find. So on that line, you're correct. There is a group that does that, the largest lobby, and these are listed as unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trials. These people, these groups, all have connections to nefarious organizations, and it's been proven. So they're coming here with an agenda, and people do not realize how serious that agenda is. We are on the verge of losing our freedoms. We're doing it slowly, and that is no exaggeration. My case is one example of that.
You know, tell us a little bit more about the trials and tribulations that you have been through, especially up in Canada. I think it's worthy that you give us kind of a dissertation as to what's going on in your life.
I've served in a position as a director with the Canadian Race Relations Foundation. It operates out of the Department of Heritage. This department is the very department where Motion M103, Canada's anti-Islamophobia motion, is coming out from. The issue that the department took against me was because I'm writing for the organization Jihad Watch. Now, one should ask the logical question, how could one not serve human rights and the cause that all humans are equal, all races are equal, and at the same time criticize and simply report on the jihadist and stealth jihadist incidents that are going on globally? So because I'm writing for Jihad Watch, my position has come up under review, so that the department is now reviewing whether they should keep me on as a board member or whether they should throw me out of this particular organization, which, again, the Heritage Department in Canada is part of the federal government. It is a department in the federal government under the Trudeau reign.
Christine, why is it more so today than ever? Quite frankly, it's worse now than it ever was right after 9/11, etc. Why is it that there seems to be such a proposed acceptance of Islam? And if you don't, you are Islamophobic. If you don't, you're going to be ostracized. If you don't, you're going to be picked on and chewed on by the public and the media. Why? Why is there such a perpetrated stance on this?
People have a tendency to be asleep and wake up one day when they realize something is amiss. The question going on now is, what is going on here? And this has not been going on, this didn't start yesterday. This has been going on for years. The Muslim Brotherhood Plan for North America has been extensively publicized, but the Islamophobia industry, coming from CARE, gave a wonderful propagandist, I would say, marketing campaign against any form of what they call Islamophobia, and they're trying to put this as a racism issue. First of all, Islam is not a race, and I'm even willing to give Muslims the benefit of the doubt to say, look, anti-Muslim bigotry is something that we could explore, because although Islam is not a race, if you want to expand the anti-racism industry to mean intolerance, well, then that means intolerance against Muslims, intolerance against Christians, against Jews, and every other creed. But what we see happening here is that the Islamophobia industry has shut down all dissent. They keep on doing it. And people are now starting to realize what is going on. We had this horrible incident happen in Charlottesville, and they use that situation that many are saying was set up to say, look, every protest that you have now in the name of freedoms, it is Islamophobic. It is racist. We saw up to 1 million girls in the UK sexually assaulted by Muslim rape gangs, and the establishment, the social workers, and the police were told to shut their mouths and keep the issue low, and justice is only now beginning to start being served, and it's still not being served because it was a problem for diversity. In fact, it was so bad where a Muslim MP Naz Shah in Britain actually retweeted a tweet that told victims of those Muslim rape gangs to shut up, quote, for the good of diversity. We had a professor in the University of California come out and say, and call for an intifada in America. These people are getting away with a rap on the knuckles, and that also begs the question, how far have we come in losing our freedoms? Here in Canada, I was invited to speak this past weekend. I couldn't make it, but it was against M103, the anti-Islamophobia motion. But news comes forth now that the whole protest was shut down. So we are under a situation now that's looking more and more like fascism overtaking us. And it's not just the Islamists that are pushing this. It is the far left social justice warriors, borderline fascists that have united with them, and they are working against our democracy, and they are not being tackled by authorities the way they're supposed to.
You know, Christine, I don't want to get too far out on the edge of the diving board and fall in the pool instead of dive into it, but when you look at other stories that are in the news right now, one of which is not being covered because of the severity of it, and we're not being told the truth, the one with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the Pakistani man, and now they're claiming foul ball because, the whole thing against him and his money laundering, etc., was just because he's a Muslim, and they're trying to play the sympathy card that way. Wouldn't you agree that's another example?
I agree 100%, and I have called it a long time ago. I wrote an article for the Gatestone Institute about it called the victimology subterfuge. It is intended to shut down criticism, play the victim card, look like the victim, gain sympathies from mainstream society because most people don't know what's going on. They've fallen for the fake tears, the fake smiles, and they believe that, and even many mainstream Muslims believe that they're under attack. They're taught so in a lot of the mosques, and my book actually reveals that by Muslims who stand up for our democracy. And they make it very clear that we are playing with fire here. We're now in a turf war on our own soil that was once in Islamic states. In the Islamic states, there was a fight for democracy under the surface, for Islamic reform, moving into modernity, not the reform going back to the 7th century. But that turf war has now arrived in Western soil where we're being beat up. And we are now being virtually owned by those institutions overseas, where Saudi Arabia is funding mosques across the West, and where Iran has its thugs internationally spying and also working in tandem with the other Islamists from Saudi Arabia with the same kind of theology, not the same focus because one is Sunni, one is Shia, but the same focus of overtaking the globe because Islamists, they see it as the house of war, the house of Islam. The house of war is us, and it must be brought into submission into the house of Islam. This is what we're facing in a very subtle way when Islamists themselves like to focus this on ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They do so because they want to take the light away from themselves because people have been fooled by their stealth ideologies and by their stealth maneuvering through the West. This is the reason for these Islamophobia motions, to shut down criticism and to shut down all information so that they can move with freedom.
Let me kind of change the approach on this conversation just a little bit, Christine, and ask you about this. Over the last couple of weeks, I've heard some very demonic attacks by the Southern Poverty Law Center against various Christian groups, two of which I have been directly associated with on this program. They have been on my show many, many times. The Family Research Council and the Alliance Defending Freedom. And those are some really wholesome, good Christian background groups, and I've had them, like I said, on the show many times, talking about how they're trying to fight for Christianity and family moral values. Now they've been labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which falls right into lockstep with all Christians suffering some discrimination right now today. What are your thoughts?
Christians are now being persecuted. And Jews have long been persecuted because the very notion of Zionism has been severely attacked by Islamists. But again, everybody was asleep at the wheel. The mere fact that the Southern Poverty Law Center can come out openly and condemn wholesome groups that you describe shows us the level of their advancement in our society. We're seeing the same thing here in Canada with this protest that was blocked in in Grand Prairie. The person that actually arranged the protest, this is a very peace-loving individual. Any protest in the name of our freedoms now is being shut down. There have been moves now to shut down statues which indicate history. Even in Canada, that movement is starting. And the reason why is because there is an attempt to erase Western history completely. The same attempt to wipe Israel off the face of the map. There's another attempt now to completely get rid of North American history and any kind of a history in the West that will show how the West has evolved. Even though some of this history is not pretty, these icons are icons to show us how far we've evolved in terms of nations of human rights. We are bastions of human rights. Nobody is pounding down the doors to live in the Middle East, but they're the ones pounding down the doors to live here. We are free societies that they deem Judeo-Christian democracies. In fact, Erdogan put it very well when he said that we are now in a war between the cross and the crescent. This does not include every Muslim, definitely not. There are peaceful Muslims, but there is an aggressive attack by Islamists. It's a peaceful attack on one hand, it's a violent attack on the other, and both sides are out for the same goal, to conquer the house of war, in their term, Dar al-Harb. So their intent is to bring us under willful submission until we pay the jizya or otherwise convert. This is something that has come down the line historically in Islamic conquest, and they're attempting to do it in our day and age. We have been egocentric. We never realized that a group could actually do this to us. Now we're seeing the evidence of it, and they're attacking even wholesome Christian organizations that are simply fighting for democracy and for our Constitution.
Let me ask you this, Christine, regarding Canada. If you look back in the rear-view mirror 5 years ago, and then look ahead from this point 5 years into the future with speculation, how in the world did Canada start the acceptance underneath Prime Minister Trudeau? Who's twisting his arm to be more amenable to these people than he is to the popular vote up in Canada that's against everything that's happening?
The Muslim community, specifically those with pro-Islamist sympathies, came right out, and they were exposed for saying, look, we're the ones, the Muslim community are the ones that put Justin Trudeau in power. Justin Trudeau has been long courting the Muslim vote. He did it before the elections, and the Muslim community, and I'm talking the pro-Islamist types, came right out, and it was an investigation done and said, look, we're the ones that put him in power. And even the words that I'm telling you now, based on reports that came out, this is what lands me in trouble, because Jihad Watch exposes what's going on behind the scenes. And these reports that Jihad Watch refers to are global reports from around the world globally that are verifiable. This isn't something that is being made up or just pulled out of a hat. These are serious issues that have been shunned by the mainstream media, who is also very controlled by a certain group out there. Now, there are those that say, look, you know, the far left, the socialist agenda, George Soros is often named in that, has teamed up with the Islamists. And indeed, this is how it looks. When one does investigations, you do see that kind of an alliance happening. But where we are today, we're in a position where the social justice warriors out there, the far left, are the ones doing the battle work on our soil against the right-wingers, if you want to put it that way. And I hate to make it a partisan issue. This is a freedom and democracy issue, but it has been turned into a right and left issue. When so-called right-wing speakers are out there doing speaking engagements, peaceful ones to highlight the truth, they're being beaten down. They have to get the bodyguards. Whereas when you look at the left-wing preachers, even ones of hate, like that professor, they don't need bodyguards.
Right. We have absolutely well stated. We have a caller with a quick question. We've only got about 4 minutes left. Caller, go ahead, please, quickly.
Yes, to your guest, we have many Muslims coming into this country that are becoming lawyers. Are their backgrounds being checked to make sure that they're not part of ISIS or any other terrorist organization?
Go ahead, Christine, if you would.
No due diligence is being done. I mean, we're looking at the mastermind behind what happened in Barcelona. This guy was in the drug trade, and it's been established now in Spain and by the FBI, the link between the drug industry, the illegal trade, and funding terrorism. Yet still, he was not just released when the Spanish government wanted to deport him, but he was released by this judge based on what the judge is now calling EU laws. But the judge is just trying to get away from responsibility, because those EU laws actually say that it depends on the risk the person poses for the population. That man posed a grave risk. No follow-up was done. And when you look in terms of follow-up, in terms of the lawyers or anybody for that matter, nothing is being done. We've got people, including professionals, traveling in and out of borders in the West. Many of them are fighting for the Islamic State. They're coming back into the borders. Nobody knows who these people are. Nobody knows where they are, what they're planning. We just know that there have been calls to be attacking Westerners, to overtake the House of War. And this is the era we're living in. And if authorities decide to get strict and really crack down on these jihadists, they're being called Islamophobic. So there's an outcry against, being Islamophobic and being against, quote, racist, for even trying to protect public safety. This is the atmosphere we're now living in the West. We're selling out, or have sold out, our democracy for Islamists and social justice warriors that are fighting on their behalf.
Christine, real quickly, I want to make a comment and have you give me a short comment on this, but it wasn't that long ago that our own Idaho Congressman, Mike Simpson, was on my program and basically called me and others McCarthyist because we were concerned about the Muslim Brotherhood infiltrating and being a major part of the Obama administration at that time. How would you respond if you had Congressman Mike Simpson say that to you, that you're being a McCarthyist? I was highly offended.
I would have asked him very nicely, have you read the memorandum, the Muslim Brotherhood memorandum for North America? Have you read that very important document that was uncovered in the largest terrorism financing trial in the history of America? This is very important for you as a political leader to read. Have you even read it? And have you read the project that was uncovered in the Al-Qaeda Maghreb that states virtually the same thing? Have you read these documents? Because these are educational documents that everybody in your position should know. Have you read it? If he says no, I would have simply told him, then you're unfit to even have this conversation, because it is the first thing you should have read before coming on the show. And if you read it, shame on you, because it outlines in detail even more than what I'm stating now on air. That's what I would have told him. They need to be asked questions, and they need to be told, asked, why is it? What is the evidence that you have to call me all kinds of names, whatever they pull out of a hat, far right, alt-right, McCarthy, whatever it is they're calling us? They need to be told, why specifically are you calling me this? And they will never have an answer for you, because they're being deceptive or ignorant or just simply wanting the vote.
The Challenge of Modernizing Islam, the great, great book written by Christine Douglas Williams. Real quick, tell us where the book can be obtained and, the main theme of the book.
The main theme of the book is how to distinguish between crypto-moderates and moderates. And voices of those Muslims who support our democracy are questioned deeply about their faith, how they reconcile their faith with modernity. It is a real investigation as to what their goals are and how they can be separated from pro-Islamists in our society. And it could be achieved in fact, it could be acquired in any major bookstore and also on Amazon.com. And just a quick word, it was actually listed as the #1 bestseller in the category of international institutions.
Absolutely. You are phenomenal. Please consent to come back in the future. Christine Douglas Williams, thank you so much.
Well, and so are you. Contact me anytime.
Thank you very, very much. That lady tells it like it is, and quite frankly, we need more people like her. Thank you very much, Christine Douglas Williams, with the book called The Challenge of Modernizing Islam. Don't forget, on Fridays at 9:15, we ask a question, a football trivia question, and if you're the winner, you're going to win a free Grand Slam breakfast at Denny's, 611 North Overland in Burley. It's delicious, always is, at America's Diner. Don't forget, 9:15 on Thursdays, Denny's Restaurant with the football season trivia contest question, where you can win a build-your-own Grand Slam breakfast at Denny's Restaurant. Don't forget that. Also want to remind you about some really, really good people that are taking care of your pets and your animals, and that's Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, right near Connection Credit Union, over in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. And Dr. Bill and the whole crew, my goodness, a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all and take care of them all. Please give them a call today, 678-1177, and that's Ark Animal Hospital. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. I love that. Oh, in just a few moments, we're going to have another guest on the phone by the name of Jonathan Wood with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Very interesting about President Trump and the monument situation that was left to him by President Obama. So don't go away. We'll have that on the air in just a moment. Also want to remind you about Let's Ride. Oh, where the fun is sold. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. And I want to urge you to stop over and check out all the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides. You know the fall colors are going to be coming up pretty quick, and you need to get up in the hills and just enjoy the beauty of Idaho. My, and they've got all the accessories over there, too, at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24, like I said, between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really good folks. And some more good folks over in that area, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, things that we always have a tendency to put on the back burner, but believe me, they should be on the front burner. We need to take care of you, your family, and your business. Well, they can help, and they will help. Number to call for an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You call them for an appointment today. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And this gentleman has been on my program many times in the past, hopefully many more in the future, with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Jonathan Wood, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Jonathan, it's always a treat to have you on the program. You're very knowledgeable and very articulate about what's going on. First of all, what about the monument situation that was basically handed down from the Obama administration, and it was all just full-blown and worrisome and causing problems, and now there are major changes with Secretary Zinke and the Trump administration. Bring us up to speed as to what's going on.
So you summed it up nicely. President Trump inherited a pretty significant Antiquities Act abuse problem. Over the last 8 to 16 years, the number of areas designated as national monuments and locked up from any commercial use has absolutely exploded. To give your listeners a sense of how bad it is, it took about a century for presidents to lock up 70 million acres as national monuments. And President Bush and President Obama alone added over 700 million acres to that. So a tenfold increase in just two presidents. So President Trump, recognizing that abusive process has hurt a lot of local communities and small businesses, ordered the Department of Interior to review the last 20 years of monument designations and make recommendations about which monuments should be revoked entirely, which should be shrank, and which should have their regulations changed.
Jonathan, how do they go about, and pardon my naivete on this, but how do they, being the government, how do they go about saying, well, we're going to take maybe 100 million more acres here, or maybe 100 million more acres over there? How do they go about doing this, and for what purpose?
Well, so most of the area designated is already federal land. So far, monuments have only been designated in federal land or the ocean. And the process, it stinks. Essentially, the president, with the mere stroke of a pen, can declare a monument and lock off the entire area from all productive use. And many of these areas are absolutely huge. So Bears Ears, one of the recent controversial ones, is over 1.35 million acres. There have been several ocean monuments that are, unspeakably large. One in the Atlantic Ocean that Pacific Legal Foundation is challenging is about 5,000 square miles, or the size of the state of Connecticut. There's one in the Pacific that's twice the size of Texas. So we're talking about absolutely huge areas, and there are no procedural protections or protections for any of the people affected. The president can do it on a whim.
Okay, but wait a minute. I know the one that you're talking about in the Atlantic Ocean. And I got to tell you that, again, my naivete is showing through on this. How in the world and why in the world would you look at 5,000 square miles of ocean and declare it a monument? I mean, I'm a little lost on that one. Help me.
Well, I think the only reason why you do it is if you're the president, it's a power grab opportunity, and it helps you establish a legacy. For the first century after the Antiquities Act, no monuments were designated in the ocean. There was a simple reason for that. The statute expressly limits monument designations to, quote, land owned or controlled by the federal government. And for 100 years, presidents accepted that that excludes the ocean. It was only at the end of the Clinton administration, early Bush administration, that the president decided that he was just going to reinterpret land to mean water and start designating monuments in the ocean. And President Bush and President Obama ran absolutely wild with that.
What happens on the negative side here, Jonathan, if all of a sudden a fishing trawler or whatever doesn't have the right coordinates, etc., and they're caught fishing in there or going through there? I mean, what kind of fines, what kind of penalties are there to be incurred?
Well, we don't know that yet. I don't know if the regulations have been worked out, and they might never be worked out because, as I said, Secretary Zinke and the Department of Interior have given the White House a report recommending changes to many of these monuments, and we don't know what the individual recommendations are yet, but the sound or the impression you get from their press release and some of the media reports about it is that at least a handful are going to be substantially shrunk, and a lot of the burdensome restrictions like preventing commercial fishing or mining or grazing are going to go away.
For what purpose, and this is kind of a vague question, but I think you'll understand what I'm searching for what purpose would they want to declare more land, like the Obama administration with the Bears Ears, etc., monument designation? I mean, the hurting of local communities, the absolute ruination of jobs, employment, schools, etc. Why? I just don't understand this.
Well, many of these areas do have some very pretty things inside of them. So some of it is that they want to protect those areas, but they're completely swamped by the size of the monument designation. The Antiquities Act, when Congress passed it, the idea was the president would identify particular antiquities and then would protect the smallest area around it to ensure its protection. The statute actually requires that monuments be the smallest area compatible with protecting the antiquity. And so that it was always focused on antiquities initially, but the recent presidents have completely flipped the process. They will draw a huge boundary and argue that as long as they can find something pretty inside of it, it's a legal monument. So the Secretary Zinke has indicated in his report that Bears Ears has some things worth protecting in them, but they don't justify anything like a 1.35 million acre monument. It might require several other much smaller monuments, or a different boundary that allows more of that productive use to continue in the areas that clearly don't require monument protection.
Let me ask you this part of it, Jonathan. Whenever something like this occurs, and there's a pro and a con to every story, both sides have to come up with some money, both sides have to go to court, both sides have to pay attorneys, etc. Where's the left? Where are they getting all the money? Who are the perpetrators of trying to leave the monuments as they are or even increase the size? And where are they getting the big bucks?
Well, so the monument issue has absolutely been a big fundraising opportunity for liberal groups and environmental groups, and they have already threatened that they are going to sue if there are any changes. They don't know what any of them are, so they said those haven't been made public yet. It doesn't matter. Even if they make sense, these groups have already committed to challenging absolutely any change the president does, and they've spent the last 3 or 4 months raising a ton of money off of it. So if you've been on Twitter or the internet and you've seen, people bemoaning that the review is going to destroy national parks, which is an outright lie, or damage public lands and lead to pollution, that's likely a fundraising campaign from one of the groups that's going to bring a lawsuit. So I would be shocked, frankly, if there isn't a ton of litigation, but the Civic Legal Foundation, one of my colleagues, Todd Gaziano, and UC Berkeley law professor John Yoo have done a paper explaining that the president has clear power under the Antiquities Act to consider these monuments, and if they need to be revoked, revoke them or change their size and regulations.
Now, I want to go back to the story about the ocean, and your office sent me a lot of information about our information segment this morning. And Wheels, watch the feedback over there on the line, please. The ocean, I want to go back to that 5,000 square miles and also the one in the Pacific Ocean. How in the world could they ever get that passed, and what are the rules and regulations about ships passing or people traveling in that area, or people that are going out for a little jaunt in their yacht, whatever? I mean, what's the enforcement factor there?
Generally, they cannot regulate navigation. As I said, this is not in the United States. This is the ocean. So the Atlantic Ocean Monument is more than 100 miles from the United States. The federal government has absolutely no authority to regulate navigation. So one of the ironies is that people cannot fish in this area, but an oil tanker could drive right through, and there's nothing the federal government could do about that. And if you're concerned about the environmental resources of the area, one of those seems to be a lot more significant than the other. But because this simply isn't federal land or even anything the federal government owns or controls, there's a very limited authority to regulate it. So it's, one of the ironies that you don't get when the federal government is regulating federal land as a national monument.
Well, I guess my obvious response to that would be, well, then if the federal government has no control over it, and basically it was a fairy tale when Obama tried to enact it as a monument, just ignore it and go do what you want to do, or have the fishing licenses to go do. I mean, why even give them any credence? Why not just go ahead and live your life and do what you want?
That is obviously a huge risk for an individual to take. Even if you are convinced that what the government is doing is illegal, if you violate what they say are legitimate regulations, you're facing possible jail time and fines. The more reasonable approach is exactly what the fishermen are doing. Represented by PLS, they have brought a lawsuit to get the Atlantic Ocean Monument declared illegal, and unless President Trump revokes it, we expect that lawsuit to continue and ultimately have a court issue the clearest and shortest opinion a court has ever issued, that the ocean 100 miles from the United States isn't land owned or controlled by the federal government.
Tell us a little bit about you and the Pacific Legal Foundation. You folks are involved in some pretty high-class movements and lawsuits, and I wish you the best. It's so great to know that we have an organization like yours, the Pacific Legal Foundation. Give us a little background on your history and your track record.
Sure. So Pacific Legal Foundation is the nation's oldest and largest nonprofit legal foundation defending property rights, free enterprise, and other constitutional rights. We've been around for over 40 years and have an incredible success record in the courts, including 9 significant Supreme Court victories. We really are the vanguard of protecting people's rights in courts across the country.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Yes, I have a question, and I don't know if you know the answer, but as far as your knowledge goes, that monument that they put in down there by the Bundys, what do you think's going to happen with that? Do you think he'll get rid of it, or what's your thought?
The one down in southern Nevada is what you're referring to, right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. What about that, Jonathan? Have you heard any words about the proposed monument down where the Bundy Ranch was?
I don't know. As I said, the recommendation or report that came from the Department of Interior doesn't contain the specifics about individual monuments, so all we have right now are rumors and press reports. It sounds from the press reports that none of the monuments will be revoked, but a handful will be substantially shrunk and have the restrictions that apply on them lifted. But we don't know which those handful are, or how significant the changes will be.
Are you, as an attorney with Pacific Legal Foundation, are you optimistic or a little bit pessimistic or middle of the road as far as what's being done by the Trump administration as opposed to the Obama administration for 8 years?
I I'm optimistic. I think it is a great sign that the president ordered this review. It shows that he recognizes that Antiquities Act abuse has become a significant problem. As I mentioned at the top of the segment, the area covered by national monuments is 10 times what it was just 2 presidents ago. This is a significant growing problem, and it's important that a president take it seriously. As I said, we won't know what the individual recommendations are for some of these individual monuments, but just the fact that people are thinking about it and looking at whether monuments can be reduced or their regulations changed is a step that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago.
Jonathan Wood, attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation, I absolutely compliment you on a job well done. Please come back in the future, and good luck with what you're doing, and sincerely appreciate you being on the program. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, sir. Thank you. You know, I really am stumped over how Obama could create a monument in the ocean when that particular part of the ocean is not controlled by the federal government, the United States of America. And it's almost like, well, I'm going to do it anyway, regardless what you want, because I'm King Obama. This it stinks, just to use the words that Jonathan said. It stinks, and it needs to be repealed. How do you look at 5,000 square miles of ocean and say, yep, there it is, national monument? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. We are, at this time, going to have a weather forecast. And our weather this hour is brought to you by Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The best of CPAs providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over and beyond 50 years. My. Tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, and so much more. 2 offices to serve you and your family and your business in Burley and Rupert. And right now, the weather.
Crank up the ACs because it is going to be hot for the next couple of days as we are looking at a high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny and hot for today. Slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 96 tonight. Maybe a few clouds with a low of 61 tomorrow. Mostly sunny, again hot with a high right near 96. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 61. By Wednesday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by the afternoon, but mostly sunny skies with a high of 90. As we make it towards the weekend on Thursday, mostly sunny 89, and then sunny and 89 for Friday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And a great job. She's back from vacation. She had a well-deserved break. Thank you, Gina. We appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Hello, Lyden Crane and the rest of the crew over there. Excellent people serving you in Burley and Rupert. Get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. For you, your family, and your business, they can and they will help. Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. All right, we've got some time here. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call on the landline. Love to talk to you, so give me a jingle. I got to tell you right up front that I am extremely worried about conservative voice being throttled and shut down. Little by little, when I pick up the newspaper, when I pick up various reports from the Daily Caller, some folks that I work with every day back in New York City and Washington, D.C., little by little, step by step, yard by yard, I see a shutdown of conservative voices. I see a slapdown from the left to conservatives and people that have family and moral values. And Canada, like Christine Douglas Williams was talking about a little bit ago, Canada, all of a sudden, literally overnight, seems to be really pushing the charge to eliminate anything of conservative values and or free speech. And a conservative website called The Rebel has been shut down, and this website has been kicked off of the website. And it's little by little things like this that are going on, not only here in the United States, but also around the globe, to stymie and stifle free speech. I'm concerned. I really am worried. One of the people that works for the domain, the Rebel, said, if this was a political censorship decision, it is terrifying. Like a phone company telling you it is canceling your phone number on 24 hours notice because it doesn't like your conversations. Think about that. And then we hear about how various groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center are going after good, staunch Christian advocacy groups like the Family Research Council. Family Research Council? I mean, my goodness sakes, what a more wholesome group in the world. I've never heard of one more wholesome. And the Southern Poverty Law Center going after them, trying to shut them down, calling them a hate group? And the same with the Alliance Defending Freedom. I had those attorneys on this program for years, talking about good Christian family moral stories. And now they're being called a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. But what do we do? What do we do? We're not doing anything. We're not voicing our opinion. Pastors in churches probably aren't putting a sermon together about it. Oh no, that wouldn't be politically correct. We're doing nothing. And little by little, each and every day, the vile, sinister left is taking over. They're taking over. Give me a call. Let me know your thoughts about this. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll do this commercial, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cache area, and they're really able to provide more one-on-one care. You know, they invite you to come by, take a tour, find out more about them, and see exactly what your loved one would benefit from being there with that little bit more, like I said, one-on-one care. Give them a call today, 436-3200. That number again, 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. All right, your turn. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I honestly believe that there are groups and forces and money out there that are going to do a lot more than what they're doing now to shut up conservative voice like mine. And some of the threats and some of the really nitwit letters and comments that I receive, it makes you kind of wonder what's coming around the bend next. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb. See, ultimately, you and I, as traditional Americans who, want to have a safe place for our children, for us, our children, our families, our extended families, our friends, know that in order to do so, we have got to keep this thing intact, the way it was designed by our founding fathers. The anarchists, and they are sexualists, environmentalists, communists. They are here to destroy it, but again, they are really mostly just useful idiots, like Karl Marx said. They really don't even know what it is they're doing, because in the end, when they're standing there after they've destroyed it, it will be destroyed, and they will have nothing along with the rest of us. But you see, they don't know how to withstand that kind of doing without, like you and I grew up with. But you see, this is the thing. We always wonder who's going to win this game.
Well, let me interrupt you for a minute.
The traditional political people, the people that voted for Trump?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be the rest of them and the media?
Let me ask
media.
Randy, wait a minute. Let me jump in on you a minute. Let me just jump in, because what you said is really true. The only way in a conversation that I can portray what America should be is to go back in past, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, I think you are, the Saturday Evening Post magazine covers that were painted and put out by Norman Rockwell. And, you know, I can remember vividly from my childhood seeing the pictures of families going to church. I can remember seeing families going to baseball games and family picnics. I can see the paintings on the cover of the magazine of sitting down to Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. And you see, what we're seeing now will never probably be portrayed again in this great country because of the insidious left and the anti-family, anti-religious feelings that are going on, and this scares me.
Well, whether or not it's an entertainment or the media, they are all ran by left-wing communists and sexualists, environmentalists, and we, as the basic flyover country people, you know, we are looked down upon, and we all know this. And so, you're right. In order to understand what traditional America is like, you have had to have lived it, or have some sort of a crisis that would make you go back and find out what it was. And see, I'd like to think that my children know better, but my grandchildren I don't know yet. They're still quite young and they're growing. But you see, in the end, you know, do we win the battle?
Yeah.
Or is there 7 years of tribulation?
Yeah.
According to what my mother taught me from the scriptures.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Randy, I'm not going to weaken on this program. I'm not going to back up. I'm not going to ever be politically correct. I appreciate callers like you because I know you'll stand with us. I've got to run to the news, but Randy, thank you so much. I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks. We cannot quit. We cannot stop condemning what's going on with the evil, vile left in this country. And I'll stand behind those words. They are evil and they are vile. We're going to take a little break for about 7 minutes and listen to more evil and vile from CBS. We'll be back in 7 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, and away we go. Hour number 3. Why, my goodness sakes, on a Monday, a day that is not conducive to showing or putting your best foot forward. We're trying hard, man, I'll tell you what. Long weekend. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, brought to you by one of our main big sponsors, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service 734-6969. When I talk great sales, I've got to talk about one of the greatest horse sales that's ever in this area, and that's Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, 20th Annual Production Sale, September 9th. Preview at 10 a.m., sale at 11 at the Ranch, 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley, Idaho. Now, I'm talking horses that know how to pick their feet up and where to put them down. I'm talking about horses that have been raised in the rocks, raised out in the desert, and they've got the greatest of conformation and an abundance of color, and they're going to make a good working horse for you, regardless of the discipline that you ride, whether it's working cow horse, roping, cutting, whatever. Don't miss this sale. Don't miss this sale. Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, 20th Annual Production Sale, September 9th at the Ranch in Oakley. Preview at 10, sale at 11. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and every single time I have this lady on my program, boy, I tell you what, you talk about being forthright and honest and talking about politics the way it is. The founder and proprietor of ReaganBabe.com and nationally recognized political commentator, here is Megan Barth. Good morning, Megan. How are you?
Hey, Zeb. I'm doing great on this Monday. How are you doing?
I am good, but I don't even know where to start with you this morning, Megan, because there's so doggone much going on in the Trump administration. There's so much happening on the left with the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter. Holy smokes, have you ever seen so much turmoil and tumultuous times as what we have right now?
Not really. No, I haven't in my lifetime. I specifically haven't seen this much violence coming from the left. And the more hysteria and the more violence that the left engages in, the stronger that the support for Donald Trump will remain and I believe grow. Also, I haven't seen this much sabotage by many members within our own party, the Republican Party, practicing against this agenda of this president. But also, I think this is a good thing. I'm the eternal optimist. I think this sabotage is actually a good thing because it's rooting out and exposing all of the fraud within the Republican Party. And when you look at those, whether it's Dean Heller, my senator in Nevada, Jeff Flake, senator in Arizona, same with McCain, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Lindsey Graham, the list goes on, they're exposing themselves for who they are. And that basically is a liberal Republican or a moderate. And the moderates have always tried to sabotage the conservative movement. If you look back at Mitt Romney's father, he sabotaged Barry Goldwater. We never would have been the party of Reagan if it were up to the Romneys or the moderates of the world. But what's really interesting is that these moderates only win because they campaign as conservatives.
Right.
So if you ever hear from the GOP leadership or the consultants that might be surrounding campaigns that you have to run in the middle in order to grow the tent, in order to, draw people in, that's nothing but a huge lie. That's a scam. Those consultants that say that are simply sabotaging the party of Reagan, much like the moderates.
Okay, now, enter stage left, Steve Bannon, or exit stage right, Steve Bannon, and his work with Breitbart, maybe now continuing. The people that said Bannon was the true conservative in the Trump administration, and the liaisons or the lack of stability within the family itself, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, etc. Would you please sort this mess out and tell me where we're going?
Yeah, I wrote about Bannon shortly after his departure, called Bannon the Bomb Thrower. And I have a little experience in political bomb throwing. That's what I considered myself, and when I was very active in politics in Orange County, California. And bomb throwers are necessary in politics because they keep politicians and parties honest. We expose the fraud. And this is what Bannon's role is going to be here on out by using one of a very powerful platform, which he helped create along with Andrew Breitbart, and that is Breitbart.com. And so he now has the knowledge of of the inside of the Oval Office, and he has identified the enemy within the Republican Party. We understand that the left is the enemy of freedom. We understand that the press works along with the left against the American people because they refuse to tell the truth and report the truth. All the press does is just regurgitate Democrat talking points as fact. So this platform of Breitbart, I believe Bannon will now use as a bomb-throwing platform in order to weed out all of the saboteurs within this administration that Trump perhaps may surround himself with. But more importantly, he'll go after the Mitch McConnells, the Paul Ryans, the John McCains, and the Jeff Flakes. And to have someone like Breitbart behind you, whether that's Kelly Ward or in my state it's Danny Tarkanian running against the moderate Dean Heller, that's exactly what we need, because we need a press like Breitbart, which will tell you the truth and the good, bad, and ugly of it.
Let me ask you this, though, Megan, and you're very astute at knowing politics. I value your opinion on this program. But when I look at the fragmentation of this administration and the fragmentation of the Republican Party, and then I look over to the left like a bunch of sinister, evil vultures waiting to pounce en masse on anything that they can make media ready, Isn't that a hard pill to swallow with the fragmentation of the Republicans and the Trump administration? Because the left is organized and orchestrated in really promoting their issues. How do we defeat that?
Well, we have defeated it. We defeated it on the national level. We defeated it in 4 special elections after the national election, whether that be in Georgia or elsewhere. And we've got now 2018 as an extraordinary election. And I know that conservatives have heard time and time again, just one more election and we'll get things done. Just one more election and we'll get things done. Well, that was told to us by a bunch of frauds. So the power relies not necessarily in the messaging, although messaging is very important. The power relies in the American people and the voters and at the ballot box. And so now that the Trump presidency did some great things just in the first 8 months, but one of them is getting us up to a 2.6% GDP, something that Obama could never achieved in 8 years. But more importantly, he exposed the frauds. And so at the ballot box, I believe these frauds will be bounced because as the Americans look around, and those would be Democrats and Republicans, because remember, hundreds of thousands of Democrats crossed party lines in the Rust Belt and voted for Donald Trump. That's why we won the Rust Belt. It was historic, that win. So now that we look around and we see the Democrats aligning themselves with Antifa, aligning themselves with Black Lives Matter, aligning themselves with radicals like Linda Saussure, an anti-Semite, and using these activists, these violent activists at their disposal, the American people are going to go, no, this is not who we are. We are not Antifa. We are like those who are down in Texas helping our fellow man out of the throes of danger. So as long as the Democrats keep aligning themselves with violence and they do not have a message, and just look at the fundraising numbers, Zeb, if you really want to know where the support is, the Republican Party, the RNC, under the leadership from our commander-in-chief, is outraising the Democrats by I think, a factor of 6. So the Democrats aren't raising money. They don't have a message that people are buying. They have a very fractured leadership. And so they have Nancy Pelosi, for crying out loud, referring to the current president as Bush. And saying, so and you can't scream. What did she say? You can't scream. It wasn't fire in a crowded theater. She said something else. Wolf. You can't scream wolf in a crowded theater. This is the leadership of the Democrat Party. So the 2018 midterms are going to be very important, but they are only going to be effective if we get out the vote. And people have to go to the polls in order to continue to drain the swamp that Donald Trump has exposed.
But, Megan, there's another entity that we have not discussed here yet, and you and I have talked about it in the past, and I want you to amplify the problem with the media. The CBS's, ABC, NBC, CNNs, etc. They are so left-leaning, and the bulk of America, I'm afraid, that can't really take the time to pursue what really is the truth and try to find out and inform themselves. They're going to listen to that left negative media, and I'm afraid of the power the media has over them. Are my thoughts ill-advised, or am I right?
I wouldn't say that you're wrong or that you're right, but I tend to just look at patterns and trends, and how, for example, Pew Research. Let's look at what Pew Research says about voters, and we saw this in the last election. People vote for a leader who they can trust, number one, and number two, people vote with their pocketbooks. So people don't necessarily vote on what the press is telling them. If people have more money in their pocket, they are going to say, hey, thanks, Donald Trump, for putting more money in my pocket so I can put more money towards my family, put food on the table. Thank you for creating an environment where I can find one full-time job with benefits instead of 3 part-time jobs, which basically Obamacare gave the American people, because Obamacare punished employers that hired employees at full time. So that's why you saw many employers, even Starbucks, for example, reduce full-time positions down to part-time positions. So that was one of the many negative consequences of Obamacare. So when it comes to voting, people don't necessarily rely on the press on how they're going to pull that lever. They rely on how much is in their pocketbook And if they have a leader at the front who they can trust, that's who they'll vote for. And that's what we saw in the last election. That's what we saw in the special elections. And those that are losing are the ones that run away from Donald Trump, the never-Trumpers. So the Anna Navarros and the never-Trumpers have been wrong since the beginning about this president, and I believe they will continue to be wrong about the spirit of the American people. Because while these never-Trumpers in the press were trashing Donald Trump, they were also trashing his supporters. And that didn't make anyone happy, and that's why we saw 63 million people rise and vote for our current commander-in-chief. And I believe that number is going to get bigger, and it's going to get more solidified.
Megan, what about the hate in this country right now? I, in my blog, wrote about this last week with the Black Lives Matter and Antifa and others. The stimulation of hate and these groups that are going after anybody and everybody, and the Southern Poverty Law Center calling ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom, along with the Family Research Council, Christian hate groups. Holy smokes, everything that was good is now becoming evil and vice versa, just like the Bible predicted.
Yeah, and now we have a lawsuit by those conservative Christian organizations against the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I think that is fantastic because the Southern Poverty Law Center, to me, is a racist organization because anyone that doesn't agree with them, anyone that sides with God, anybody that promotes, Christian values is a hate group, according to them. So they're being sued for defamation. And I think this is a great tool that these organizations are using to protect their reputation from these defaming smears of the left. So I would like to see, and I tweeted this out yesterday, what if 63 million people, 63 million Trump supporters, sued the DNC for defamation? What if we sued the DNC for rigging a primary election? What if we sued the DNC for their favorite term, hate speech? So there are tactics that these organizations are using, and they're on the side of the law, where the left is on the side of the lawless. And that is why the message that Trump gave of law and order was resounding, because people do not want lawlessness. We are a nation of laws. We are civilized because of our laws. And as we watch, finally, we have reporters in San Francisco that reported the truth on Antifa, the violence that's going on in the communities because of this radical communist anarchist group that is funded by somebody, and I can tell you it's not a Republican, but as long as these people continue to be exposed by independent journalists as well as national journalists, like I said, Washington Post finally did a factual story on Antifa, we see the lawlessness, and the lawlessness continues in Democrat-controlled cities like Berkeley, like Baltimore, like Charlottesville, and others. So the American people will see this, and they'll know where to put the blame. We are not a nation of hate. We are a nation that was founded on the principle and rule of law, and the principles bestowed upon us by our almighty Creator. So this is the spirit of America.
Absolutely.
The left simply is not representing the spirit of your average, everyday American. They are radical, and they are aligning themselves with the fringe. And so they will continue to lose as they continue to do so.
Megan, we're looking at the 9th month, literally, of Trump administration and Trump being in the Oval Office, and we need a lot of things decided, and we need a lot of things that have to be concreted, if you will, as far as finalized with Obamacare, the budget, tax reform, national security, etc. A lot of people are saying, well, he's just not going to have the time to do it, or the Republicans are fractured on standing behind him. What are your thoughts over these four major issues that the Trump administration, I think, has to solidify if they're going to be successful in their first term?
Yeah, he's got to get some things done, but it's not just Trump that has to get things done, it's Congress. And one thing that Trump said in a rally the other week in Phoenix was that Mitch McConnell needs to lower the voting threshold from 60 to 50, because right now we have 8 Democrats, basically, that are obstructing any and all any and all bills that are going through Congress that reflects the Make America Great Again agenda. So we need to lower the threshold, and this comes from leadership. And if Mitch McConnell is not going to support this president, if Paul Ryan is not going to support this president, their leadership positions need to be terminated. If there are other never-Trump politicians like John McCain or Lindsey Graham, their chairmanship positions need to be eliminated. We need a unified Republican Party, one that supports this president in order to ensure that he's a two-term president, but the swamp doesn't want him. And let's remember the swamp only has a, 11% favorability rating. I think they are competing with the mainstream media as far as favorability. And so the voting threshold needs to be lowered by Mitch McConnell, because that's exactly what the Democrats would do to push their agenda forward. The Democrats play politics like a blood sport while Mitch McConnell is playing checkers.
Would you agree with me that the situation in Texas right now could be a real win for the Trump administration if it's handled correctly? And I think they're doing everything on the right basis with FEMA, etc., and the horrific happenings of Hurricane Harvey. I think the president has shown great restraint, but yet also extended a lot of help. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, he's not in Martha's Vineyard, playing golf like Obama was in Louisiana. And so he's been very engaged. He's been very engaged on Twitter. We have Governor Abbott, who ordered an evacuation of the coastal cities. But then we had a Democrat mayor by the name, I think, of Sylvester Brown out of Houston that said, no, don't evacuate. You'll be fine. This is overblown. So now who has the problem? Houston. Imagine that. Another Democrat mayor, complete failure. And so Donald Trump has demonstrated good and strong leadership, and so have the people and the volunteers in Texas, because this is who we are. When you see other people helping others, and especially in a time of crisis, that's what Americans do. And so Donald Trump, I believe, has handled this situation, as well as Mike Pence, very well. Mike Pence was supposed to speak here in Reno this last Saturday, but he canceled, of course, because of the hurricane. So it's all hands on deck, and this is a point in time where the president, I believe, will his favorability will increase because how this crisis has been handled.
I really enjoy having you on the air. The founder and proprietor of ReaganBabe.com. I think a lot of this lady. Political commentator Megan Barr, thank you so much, and God's blessings. Please come home back to this program soon.
Oh, anytime. Thanks so much, Zeb. Take care.
Thank you. Excellent lady right there. Really knows the ins and outs of politics and what's going on. Megan Barth. And you'll hear a lot more of her on this program in the future. We've got to pay some bills here real quick. On Thursdays, we have a special segment called Cassia County School Days, and I really, really appreciate, first of all the work that Debbie Critchfield does in lining up our programs, and now we're back into a new school year, and we want to say thanks to the two sponsors of Cassia County School Days, first of which, Child's World. Oh, my goodness, located at 1308 Overland in Burley. They've got all kinds of new merchandise arriving weekly. They've got all the fall dresses. They got all the baby clothing and the baby furniture. Everything, games, puzzles, and books, and more at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley. Along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley. Boy, for your outpatient surgeries, you need to call them today and learn how they can save you money on life-saving colonoscopies, carpal tunnel surgery, etc. All you have to do is just give them a call at 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. By the way, my dear friend George Mass and many more are helping put on the second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet. And this is standing up for the red, white, and blue. It's going to be September 9th at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Rupert Historic Square. It is a beautiful location. And it's sponsored by the City of Rupert, Combat Vets Association, and the Rupert Veterans Memorial. They're going to have classic cars there, race cars, community flag retirement, lots of entertainment, and lots of good food, too. So everybody try to be there on September 9th from 10 to 4, right on the square in Rupert. Second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet. Going to be great. Let's see what else have I got cooking here before I send it back over to our main studios. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention real quick. We are going to have a special patriotic remote broadcast again this year at Ramsey Heating and Electric on September 14th, and we're going to be celebrating Patriots Week, and don't miss that. We're going to be broadcasting live and direct from 8 in the morning until 11, and before that, starting at about 7 in the morning, George Mass is going to be over there having biscuits and gravy for everybody to enjoy. So it's going to be a fun-filled day on September 14th right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't miss it. We'll be broadcasting for the full 3 hours right from Ramsey's like we have for so many years. Have a lot of Patriots coming down on the phone, visiting with us there at Ramsey's. Don't miss it on September 14th. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back with John Zemerick right after the break.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour on Zeb at the Ranch for this Monday, August 28th. There are many people that I have listed as guests on this program, and some that I really absolutely try to book as often as I can because I know they're going to have some very poignant stories to talk about, as this next man is one of those. He's been on my program many, many times, and he writes absolutely outstanding articles for The Stream, and I'm talking about John Zemerick. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm fine, thanks. I'm in Dallas, far away from the sad stuff that's happening in Houston. God help those people down there.
Absolutely. John, you really piqued my interest with an excellent article, and if I may be so bold as to read the first headline sentence and then the subheadline, Save the Confederate Statues. We should rename nothing. Dismantle nothing. Don't throw little pieces of our past to feed the sharks in the hope that they'll eat us last. John, so well written, and I'll just say our past is being smashed forever. What is your main theme that you want to get to the public about these idiots, and that's what they are, that are taking down our national monuments?
Yeah, it's that there is no reasonable compromise possible. I read conservatives saying, well, we'll just take down the worst Confederates, or we'll only take down the Confederates and we'll put them in museums, or we'll move them to private land. They don't know what they're dealing with. It's like appeasing the Nazis. Oh, just give them the Rhineland, just give them Czechoslovakia, and then they'll be happy. The left in America has ratcheted itself up into a hysterical and totalitarian movement. We saw just this weekend peaceful Christian demonstrators, no connection to race, were beaten up by thugs in masks with weapons in the streets of Berkeley, California, and the police did nothing. Statues of St. Joan of Arc have been destroyed, have been attacked. Statues of Lincoln, Christopher Columbus. Anyone who has views the date from before 1965, who doesn't match our current definition of civil rights as redefined by the radical left, is going to be torn down. Anybody from before World War II, pretty much, unless if he's an abolitionist, is going to get torn down. Abraham Lincoln, his views on race, by current standards, would put him on the racialist right. And the left knows that. he's next. They want to tear down everything. They don't just want to take down the Confederate statues. They couldn't even wait. They couldn't even restrain themselves long enough to get all the Confederate statues pulled down before they started attacking Joan of Arc, Christopher Columbus. Soon they'll be knocking down statues of the Virgin Mary in front of Catholic churches. Why? They want to take our history and shake it like an Etch-a-Sketch so that they have a blank slate with no memory, no heritage, no institutions, nothing from the past, nothing from before they popped out onto this earth, so that they can remake the present and control the future. And if you remember in 1984, that is the main job of the party, the totalitarian party in 1984, is erasing history, rewriting it to control the present and determine the future. That's the American left.
John, there is another group that is at fault here, and that group is us. And the reason I say that is because we're not fighting back. We're not fighting back. And I'm going to say this on the radio for the first time this morning, and I'll take the criticism. We need to fight back, and if it means violence to protect our past and our heritage and our history, so be it, because this turning the other cheek, John, it's not cutting the cake.
Well, when I see demonstrators in the streets of California being attacked and the police doing nothing, I just think, well, why shouldn't any of those people who are being violently attacked on the street pull out a weapon and shoot those people? That could very well happen. I don't want to see that happen, but those people have a right of self-defense against thugs attacking them with weapons. How long before this police neglect, this reckless refusal of authorities to protect the First Amendment, how long before it results in armed clashes in the streets? I think that's the goal. I think the Antifa wants some right-winger to pull out a gun and shoot at them so that they can push for massive gun confiscation. I think this is part of a strategy to disarm the population, to make us helpless veal calves like the poor Europeans are. You see, they can't even defend themselves against jihadists in the streets because the jihadists have automatic weapons, and even the police in England don't have guns. That their goal is to disarm the populace, to put all power in the hands of ideological mobs, and then ultimately a totalitarian government. Make no mistake, the goal of liberals is Venezuela. You look at Venezuela, that's what they want for America. No two ways about it. They're acting like Chavez's thugs acted 10 years ago when they were establishing their power in Venezuela. And if the Democrats ever win another presidential election, watch out.
John, how, and I underline the word how did this happen? How did this come about so suddenly? I mean, overnight we were seeing statues torn down. Overnight we were seeing the complete havoc of our history. Overnight we saw these hate groups demanding and getting their way.
Cowardice. Conservatives, rightly, we don't want to be seen as racist, but that doesn't mean you give in to the left and let them erase the past. There are strong, good, principled arguments for defending our American heritage, for defending the fact that we have statues that commemorate the way our ancestors acted. That doesn't mean we're proud of everything they did. If we have a statue of someone we don't approve of, put up another statue across from him, so that you have memory of the past, you have a rational conversation, you have the opportunity to remember, hey, our ancestors weren't perfect. I wonder if we're maybe not perfect. Maybe someday we'll be ashamed, or our descendants will be ashamed of us. I think our descendants will go past Planned Parenthood clinics in the ghettos, which have been killing minorities for 30 or 40 years, and they'll look at those the way we now look at slave quarters on plantations. But, you know, today's left wants to believe that they are perfect, they're sinless, we are infinitely better than our degenerate ancestors. We're perfect, we're wonderful, and we're so great we don't even want to have reminders of the past around us. We don't want anything around us that doesn't reflect our values today, because our values are perfect. Well, guess what? Our values are far from perfect. And I think our descendants will be deeply ashamed of a lot of things about today's America, especially legal abortion.
Well, I couldn't agree.
People who want to tear down a Confederate statue are perfectly fine with Margaret Sanger's racist eugenicist group killing minorities in every ghetto in America through abortion.
You know, I could not agree with you more, John, but when I look at, like, what happened, the first and foremost statue that was toppled was Robert E. Lee, General of the Confederacy. These people that are promoting all this, the Antifas and the Black Lives Matter, etc., do they really know history and understand that General Robert E. Lee, after the Civil War, was recognized as one of the greatest peace people in the United States at that time because he went on to study hard and try to reunionize the entire Union, and he wanted to get everything put back together. And he was also serving as president of Washington College. He did a lot for the entirety of the United States of America, but these people don't seem to realize that.
No, they want to tear down the Jefferson Memorial because he owned slaves. They want everyone from before 1965 erased from our history. Franklin Delano Roosevelt interned Japanese. That was one of the most racist things in American history. Soon we won't be able to have FDR on the dime. The whole idea that we are going to obliterate any aspect of the past that doesn't match our current beliefs is deeply chilling. And remember, the radical left views Christianity as every bit as offensive as white supremacy. So you're going to see statues of the Virgin Mary toppled by rabid feminists who say that is part of the patriarchy, and there'll be nothing we can do. These people are a secular version of ISIS, running around smashing the icons of beliefs they don't agree with. And if they're not met with the organized, disciplined force of law, which means rubber bullets and truncheons, and if necessary, live ammo, if these people fight back too hard, and if they constitute an armed rebellion, which is what they're bordering on, we're going to have to fight. The police are going to have to do some fighting in the streets, or the National Guard, in order to prevent private citizens from shooting it out in the streets. We are approaching a situation like the Weimar Republic. We had one group of Nazi thugs and one group of communist thugs fighting it out in the streets, and the police didn't stop them. They just let them fight it out because they secretly wanted the Nazis to win. Today, in many places, the authorities want Antifa to win. They want Antifa to silence free speech. They're on board with that. It's just like the German authorities colluding with the Nazis to suppress the left in the 1930s. There's a grave threat to freedom, to public order, personal safety. I mean, if you're going to have private mobs of people fighting it out in the streets over their political beliefs, that's called a civil war. That you don't have a government anymore. You don't have a society. No one is safe. No one is free in those circumstances.
You know, John, you and I have talked about this next statement I'm about ready to make in the past programs. But I think right now, more than ever before, with the threat against Christianity, the threats about even having a cross on the top of your church are very dangerous right now. And pastors and leaders of church communities, they need to step up to the plate and, I think, be more vocal more now than ever. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think far too many churchmen are just virtue signaling and preening. Oh, we condemn racism. Oh, we don't want anything insensitive. Oh, make sure you don't stop immigration because otherwise our church will be empty. I've been disgusted by the cowardice of many religious leaders who all they want to do is they want to be seen as among the nice people in society. They want to be respected. They want to keep their tax-exempt status. They want the checks coming in from donors. They're like the Pharisees in the Old Testament, except some of the Pharisees were sincere.
John, on a scale of 1 to 10, and with your writing ability and also your research, where are we right now?
Well, if 10 is a leftist totalitarian regime and 9 is a civil war leading to it, we're about at the 7th.
Wow. Is there anything you would tell my audience right now that they should be doing or could be doing to help alleviate this problem?
Yeah. Get trained and certified and exercise your Second Amendment rights. Exercise your First Amendment rights. Demonstrate against Antifa. Steer clear of anything associated with the alt-right. It has been taken over by the white supremacists and neo-Nazis. We want nothing to do with it. We're standing up for America, not for any race, not for any particular religion, but for freedom of religion, equality of races, rule of law, the American heritage.
Absolutely.
Stand up for America, not for your ethnic group, not for your tribe, but for our Constitution and your fellow citizens.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, please.
Yes, we live in Idaho, and I know you know this, but if you look at California, Oregon, Washington, they're losing their souls, especially along the coast. And you look at Arizona with Flake and McCain, and you see Arizona slipping into a blue. Colorado is already somewhat blue. The last bastion in the West of some sort of sanity, logical sanity, is Idaho. We're 1.2 million residents. And the thing of it is this, we are just losing it, and it's closing in on us, and we have got to somehow save what was a tradition of America, because that's what made us great, and that's what gives everybody all these freedoms. And the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter, they are so uninformed and such useful idiots. They don't even really know what it is they are doing to themselves. I'll hang up.
Respond, if you would, please, John.
Oh, I'd say he's right. And I think getting immigration under control is essential, not because the people coming in here from poor countries have anything wrong with them intrinsically, but because they are just prey for the Democrats. The Democrats will enroll them on welfare, enlist them in the Democratic Party, keep turning one red state blue after another. Remember, California was the political base of Ronald Reagan. It used to be a Republican stronghold. They completely flipped it entirely through immigration. They're trying to do the same thing to Texas. If Texas turns blue or even purple, I'm not sure this country has a bastion left. I don't know. I think we turn into Canada, which is to say a socialist, multiculturalist, quasi-totalitarian movement. I mean, the government of Canada has done some really totalitarian things against Christians, taking kids away from their parents because they don't want to give them transgender therapy, suppressing homeschoolers, telling churches they can't teach what the Bible says about sexual ethics. Look at what's happening in Canada. That's the best case scenario. What's happening tragically in large parts of Mexico and happening in Venezuela is the worst case scenario. We in America are on the balance of a knife. Will we admit so many immigrants that the Democrats win every presidential election and rig the Supreme Court and basically take democracy away from us? Or will we secure the borders and then hash out our differences among Americans and have at least a chance to keep this country on a sane balance?
Absolutely. John, keep writing. Keep writing. Excellent article. Dr. John Zmirak, a good friend of this program. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I mean, this article in the Stream is absolutely a must-read by John Zmirak, and I urge you to do so. And it's called Save the Confederate Statues. We should rename nothing. Dismantle nothing. Don't throw little pieces of our past to feed the sharks in the hope that they'll eat us last. Very well stated. We'll have more and take some more of your phone calls right after we have a weather forecast right now for Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Oh, you can also go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Check out all the delicious meats in their retail meat department, all the way from bacon to bratwurst to prime rib. I'm telling you what, they are excellent. Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Crank up the ACs because it is going to be hot for the next couple of days as we are looking at a high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Sunny and hot for today. Slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 96. Tonight, maybe a few clouds with a low of 61. Tomorrow, Mostly sunny, again hot with a high right near 96. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 61. By Wednesday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by the afternoon, but mostly sunny skies with a high of 90. As we make it towards the weekend on Thursday, mostly sunny 89, and then sunny and 89 for Friday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and I appreciate it. Scarrows Meats. Hello, Don. Oh, my goodness. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. As I said, give them a call, too, if you want to give them a jingle before you stop over. 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrows Meats. I've got time for some calls, and I would really appreciate and respect some calls after all the very interesting, thought-provoking people we've had on the program this morning, all the way from Christine Douglas Williams and Jonathan Wood with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Megan Barth, John Zamirak. You know, what John said a moment ago, and I know I'm going to get cards and letters over this and calls. Oh, you're advocating violence. No. John Zamirak and myself did not advocate violence. Don't go wrong on that, because I'll have the tapes of the program. But I am going to say this. I think it is absolutely time in this country for those of us with Christian values, those of us with family values, those of us that have a right and a wrong value, we need to be prepared for the worst to come with the vile, sinister left. I said in my blog this last Friday, and I mean it, you and your vile, sinister thugs do not in any way try to inhibit me or my family or my neighbors ever again. Because I promise I will not step around you, I will step over you. I think that's something we all need to consider now. There is a movement out there with the hate groups to destroy and tear down Christian crosses here in America. They don't like those. They want to do away with them. You heard John Zamirak talking about all the different monuments, statues that are coming down. And the next stop is and will be all the Christian churches. Where are you going to draw a line in the sand? My question to you is, where are you, the listener, going to draw a line in the sand? We live in a very conservative area. A lot of people are saying, well, that's happening over there. Or that's happening down in L.A. Or that's happening over there in Florida or whatever. No. Soon it's going to be happening right here. What are you going to do? What are you going to expect for help? What are you going to do to protect the cross on your church? What are you going to do? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'm going to be right there. Stand by, don't go away. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. They want you to get where you're going on your next road trip and then turn around and come safely home. They have all the tires to do that. The Backcountry Touring HT, the Terramax HT, all of the tires with all the different tread designs to make sure that you have a good road trip and safely come home. Along with the best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, but always the best in service. They really take care of you. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, thank you for your patience. You're on the air. Go ahead, caller, please.
They hung up, Zeb.
Well, why did you let them? Thank you, Wheels. I appreciate it. I wish that caller would call back. I wanted to hear what they had to say, and evidently they didn't have very much patience. I had to get a word in there real quick, and I'd love to have them call me back. Because what are you going to do? I'm going to ask you that question again, and I'm probably going to ask it many more times. The hate groups that are out there that want to take over our lifestyle and say, you can't see this, you can't go to that, you can't have that monument, you can't have that cross on your church. What are we going to do? Are we going to sit back and just go, gee, times are tough? Or are we going to fight back? It's coming to that. I know the naysayers in the audience are saying, oh, well, we can't have violence. We've got to love each other. It might be way beyond that. Think about it. What are you going to do? Tomorrow on the program, I've got to take off at about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I've got doctor's appointments. And we're going to have Dr. History. He's going to go to the station tomorrow and do his program from 10 to 10:30. And then our dear friend, and she is, Gina Jameson, is going to handle the last hour of our program from 10:30 until 11. And so I'll be gone for about an hour of the program tomorrow. So I apologize for that up front, but you are in capable hands. Wheel's going to run the program with Dr. History, and Gina will do the interview at 10:30 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 on KBAR 1230 AM, streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. Don't forget, the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.